Most people think you need hours a day in perfect conditions to prepare for something like Special Forces assessment and selection. You don't. In fact, waiting for that perfect window to train is the fastest way to never get ready. If you're tight on time, you can still get prepared. And today, I'll show you exactly how, because the reality is you will never have perfect conditions. And if you can't learn to train consistently under less than ideal circumstances, you won't be ready when it counts. This video will give you a clear, practical framework to prepare for selection, even if your schedule is packed. And we're going to do it by covering 5 main things: how to manage your time for training, what to prioritize when time is tight, exactly how much training you need, how to structure your running and rucking, and a sample weekly structure you can follow. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about time management, because this is where most guys sabotage themselves before they even start. Every Sunday, I want you to sit down and take a brutally honest look at your upcoming week. Pull out your work schedule, family commitments, any field time, appointments, everything that's going to demand your attention. And don't skip this, because when you try to fit training in, it doesn't happen. You need to see exactly what time you actually have, not what you wished you had. Once you see your week laid out, you're going to block off your training windows. Personally, I use Google Calendar for this, but you can use whatever tool works for you. But it's important to treat these windows like you would any other important meeting or appointment that you cannot reschedule. These training blocks are non-negotiable, because if you keep letting them slide, you'll keep falling behind. I've had athletes who were prepping for SFAS while working 12-hour shifts on a deployment schedule, and they still found time to train. They did this by using these blocked windows and going all in during that time. So no multitasking, no scrolling on your phone between sets, no distractions. If you're in the gym, you're in the gym. If you're on a run, you're focused on that run. You can get more done in 45 focused minutes than most people do in 2 distracted hours. If you're tight on time, you need to double down on focus. So start training it today and be highly intentional with your limited time. Next, let's talk about prioritization. When you're tight on time, you don't have the luxury to train everything equally. And honestly, you shouldn't, even if you did have the time. You need to focus on what will move the needle most for your selection prep. And the first step here is understanding where you're coming from. If you're coming from a strength background, maybe you're a power lifter, a CrossFit athlete, or you just love hitting heavy lifts in the gym, chances are your strength is already in a pretty solid place. What's likely holding you back is your conditioning. So you need to shift more of your training bandwidth toward building your aerobic base, improving your run times, and getting comfortable under a ruck. On the other hand, if you're coming from an endurance background, maybe you're a runner, a triathlete, or you've always prioritized conditioning, your focus needs to shift toward building strength and durability. I've seen guys who could crush a 10-mile run but couldn't handle volume under a ruck, and it cost them. Selection requires a blend of aerobic capacity, strength, and durability. So here's your action step. Take an honest look at your current capabilities. What are your gaps? Where is your 2-mile run time at? How's your ruck pace under a moderate load? Are you struggling with body weight movements like pull-ups or push-ups? Or do you feel weak under heavier loads? Identify your biggest weaknesses and focus your limited training bandwidth there. You're better off making targeted improvements where you're lacking than spending your limited time focusing on strengths that you already have. So how much training do you actually need to prepare for selection if you're tight on time? The good news is you don't need to live in the gym to get ready. You can make serious progress with 45 to 60-minute sessions 5 days a week, plus one longer session for a ruck or a long run. If I was prepping under a tight schedule, I'd aim for 3 full body strength sessions per week, 3 to 4 runs per week, and then 1 ruck per week, or every other week, depending on the focus of the block. This is realistic. It's manageable even with a demanding work or family schedule, and it's enough time to build the strength, conditioning, and durability you'll need at selection. Now let's break down what those strength sessions should look like. A simple framework we like to use for full body sessions is this. 1 is cardio, core, and carries to improve your work capacity and midline stability. 2 is an explosive movement. This could be kettlebell swings, box jumps, med ball throws, something to prime your nervous system and maintain your power. Number 3 is lower body strength work, squat, hinges, or single leg movements to build the durability your legs will need under load. Number 4 is upper body push movements like presses, push-ups, or overhead work. Number 5 is an upper body pull movement, so pull-ups or row variations to build that back strength for rucking and obstacle courses. And then number 6 is posterior chain focus, so glutes, hamstrings, lower back, and rear delts. And if you're tight on time, one of the best strategies you can use with this is antagonistic supersets. That means pairing a push with a pull, like a bench press with bent over row or pull-ups. This approach keeps the intensity high while saving time, letting you get a lot of quality work in without your session dragging on. Remember, the goal is not to just chase fatigue just for the sake of it. It's to build the blend of strength, conditioning, and durability you'll need to show up when it's time to test. Now let's talk about your running and rucking. These are non-negotiable for selection prep, and you need a balanced approach if you want to perform well while avoiding unnecessary burnout or injury. First, your running. You need a mix of low intensity zone 2 work and shorter high intensity intervals. Both are important and both train different energy systems you'll need at selection. Aim for one interval session per week. This could be 400s, 800s, or mile repeats at a pace that feels tough but sustainable with adequate rest between reps. These will be the biggest contributing factors to driving down your run times. Next is one mid-distance run each week, which is somewhere between 2 and 5 miles, and run this at a moderate to hard effort. This isn't an all-out sprint, but it should feel uncomfortable and challenge your pacing. And the rest of your run should be easy, zone 2, and done at a low intensity or conversational pace. These runs help build your aerobic base without frying your recovery, which is key if you're stacking strength training and rucking on top. Now for rucking. If your 2-mile time is over 15 minutes, you need to prioritize running first. Do not skip this. You'll get more benefit out of improving your aerobic fitness and body mechanics before adding a heavy ruck on top of it. In this phase, you can add rucking every other week, focusing on walking only, keeping the load moderate, and ensuring your feet and lower legs are adapting. As your run times improve and your selection date gets closer, you'll start increasing your ruck frequency. And this is when you can add higher intensity rucks, moving faster under a load, working on your pace, and making sure your weight displacement and foot conditioning are good to go. When it comes to rucking, more isn't always better, and it will beat you up fast if you aren't ready for it. Your goal is to build conditioning under a load without compromising your running or your recovery. Now that you know what to train, let's put it into a weekly schedule you can actually follow. Here's a simple but effective framework. Monday, let's hit a full body strength session plus a short high intensity conditioning session. This could be done on a rower, assault bike, sled pushes, something to push up your heart rate while enforcing your work capacity. Tuesday, we'll hit a speed or interval run paired with a calisthenic circuit. This could look like 400 or 800 meter repeats, then push-ups and a core circuit. Wednesday, we can hit another full body strength session plus another high intensity conditioning session similar to Monday, but varying the movements. Thursday, we can hit a zone 2 run or a tempo run depending on where you are in the block, and this is your aerobic base builder. So keep it conversational if it's zone 2 or push a little bit harder if you're doing a tempo effort. Friday, a full body strength session plus high intensity conditioning, again, rounding out your third strength session for the week. And then Saturday is a ruck or long zone 2 run, depending on your phase and needs. If you're solid on your run times and closer to selection, keep these once per week, varying the distance and the intensity. And then for Sunday, rest. Let your body absorb all of the work that you put in throughout the week. A lot of people say that they're going to start training when things slow down, but saying that is really just admitting that you will not be able to keep moving forward when life gets busy. And here's the reality. Life will get busy again. It always does. You'll have field time, work stress, family responsibilities, injuries, setbacks, and days when you're tired. That's normal. The real skill you're developing here isn't just getting faster and stronger. It's learning how to train consistently in imperfect conditions. If you can only make progress when life feels easy, you're never going to be ready when things get hard. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss future videos where we break down exactly how to prepare for selection the right way. And if you want a custom plan to guide you through this process so you know exactly what to do each and every day to get ready for selection while balancing work, family, and life, I'll drop a link in the description where you can apply to work with me and the Infinite Grit team. We will first test your numbers and then build a plan around where you're currently at, your timeline, and what you need to focus on most so you can show up prepared and confident when it's time to perform. Stay consistent, train smart, and I'll see you in the next video.